What is up, guys? Antagonist here. Today we're going to be comparing two British energy fighters, the Sea Fury with a top speed of 724 kph on the totally reliable Gaijin stat card, and the Tempest Mark V with a top speed of 703 kph. However, as we're about to see, speed is not everything, and these vehicles are very different in terms of performance as well as effectiveness. First, I'd like to point out a little secret I found while making this video. On Hokkaido, the Sea Fury, or any other naval fighter for that matter, can take off of the carrier base if you select it before you spawn. This is a great advantage for side climbers like me, and also gives you a 20-meter altitude advantage from the start. We start out with the Sea Fury in alternate history Berlin against the Russians. In my opinion, the Russians are the best opponents for the Sea Fury because of its great performance on the deck, where the Russians also excel. This battle was extremely lopsided in the Russians' favor, but smart piloting and teamwork won in the end. Our first target is a Yak-3 at low altitude being engaged. I try a blind attack out of the clouds, but I miss my shots. All my shots. When I climb back for altitude, notice how quickly I lose speed. This energy retention characteristic is important to consider when choosing whether to fly the Tempest or the Sea Fury. Another thing we notice from the start is how quickly the engine overheats. I know there's an enemy there because he just killed my teammate. Our second target is a Yak in the vertical climb. I attack blind out of the clouds and kill him before he knows what hit him. Four 20mm cannons at 300 convergence are extremely lethal at close range. Our next target is a low premium Spitfire. Again, I go for a high-speed vertical attack and miss all my shots. I zoom back to the clouds to keep my cloud control. A high yo-yo in the clouds gives me a perfect firing angle, and the Sea Fury's good roll rate allows me a critical strike. The critted Spitfire fights for altitude with me, but I do a vertical stall and I come down on his 6. do a lag roll to get a better firing angle, but the Sea Fury's low dive speed prevents me from making another attack. A low LE7 attempts to climb with me, but I have managed my energy well, and I do a vertical stall to maximize my potential energy. I use landing flaps to increase my stability. He cuts hard, so I do an opposite lag roll to play the angle and bleed his speed. I regained my altitude and joined up with a teammate. This Spitfire pilot was extremely skilled, and were it not for him, we would have lost this fight later in the game. I dive hard towards a low Yak 3. I score some good hits on his tail and do a quick high yo-yo to finish him. The Spitfire takes the kill, but I don't mind as I need to conserve my ammo at this point. I need to make some time to cool my engine a bit, so I use my web sparingly. However, I spot two enemies with equal and greater potential energy, so the web goes back on. I fake a head-on, then low yo-yo to assess the situation. Somehow I've managed to lose my teammate and it's a 2v1. I'm at low altitude, I'm alone, and my engine is overheating. I'll have to kill at least one of them. I do a last-ditch maneuver. I lose all my speed and cut my throttle in an attempt to make him overshoot. I enter a rolling scissors, and the Yak overshoots and crashes into the ground. This was thankful, as the LA-7 was clearly a lot higher energy than me. However, he just ripped his flap, so it appears he's going back for a base. I found out my teammate was completely out of ammo, so that's why he wasn't there with me. He turns around because he has a teammate, and I definitely don't, so it's a 2v1 again. I risk a head-on and get lucky, but at least I take one of them out. However, now I notice that my fuel is running critically low, and I make contact with the Spitfire pilot, letting him know I'm returning to base and I have a tail. The next few minutes are pretty uneventful, so we're going to fast forward through them. As my fuel hits red, the Spit takes off and uses his good climb rate to neutralize the altitude advantage the enemy has. He takes him down and the game is over. Now we're in the Tempest over Norway. I've side climbed to altitude and I see a few enemies below me. I missed my shots against the 190, but it's a 3v1, so I can be as cautious as I'd like against him. The Tempest easily runs him down in a shallow dive, and he's forced to maneuver. He turns right into my guns, and I execute him with a long burst. I reclimb and gain most of my altitude back. This is something I wouldn't have been able to do in the Sea Fury. I set my sights on the highest guy, the 109 just above the clouds. He dives after the Spitfire and I easily keep pace with him. Even in a steep vertical dive, the Tempest refuses to redline because of its heavier weight. I easily zoom away from the 109's guns and do a high yo-yo to come back on him. I force him to maneuver and I catch him with my higher turn rate. Another 109 appears out of nowhere and attempts a head-on from a bad angle, and I take him down as well. I should have pulled off a bit sooner, but he caught me off guard. At this point, the enemy team is in ruins. Only one 109 remains, so I decide to keep my speed above 600 kph and hunt him down. The Bowfighter reports in chat that he's being attacked, so I turn on manual engine controls and get my maximum speed up. When he appears, he has the altitude advantage, but I have speed to spare. For some reason, he's focusing on the Bowfighter rather than the two fighters below him. I miss my first shots, but I do a high G turn and immediately get on his tail. I close in easily and execute him. And that's the end of the game. So overall, I prefer the Tempest to the Sea Fury. Its attributes include a higher dive speed, better vertical turn, and more effective manual energy control. However, it lacks in roll rate, high outperformance, and rate of climb. On the other hand, the Sea Fury excels at snapshots because of its roll and conversions rates. It also beats the Tempest in acceleration and rate of climb. However, its drawbacks, in my opinion, make it the lesser of the two planes. It can't turn with the Tempest, it has nearly half the ammo capacity, it has a lower redline and poor high-speed performance, and is a pain to upgrade. However, both are very fun to fly, and I had fun making this video. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching. See you next time, guys.